Well, tragic news coming in from the capital as we speak. A tiger has mauled a class 12 student in a Delhi zoo. Those are exclusive visuals on your screens there. That is a long shot of the white tiger in question. He's the one that mauled that youth to death. Eyewitness accounts claim that the youth in question, he slipped into that enclosure where this tiger was and he was mauled to death. We get you exclusive stills also of the entire incident that took place. We have close-ups of the white tiger in question along with the youth who was mauled to death. I have Upasana joining me in the studio. Upasana, you have visited the Delhi Zoo. You've reported on different incidents emerging from the zoo in the past. Tell us about the barricades really. Are they in place? Is this a safety hazard as we have seen this incident now emerging from the Delhi Zoo?
See, first, there's a margin of 500 meters between the cage of the tiger and the place till where the visitors are allowed. So, out of that 500 meters, 50 to 75 meters is the space which is empty, but it should contain water, because if you visit any other zoo outside Delhi or even internationally, so you'll see that there is a huge difference between the visitor and the
is that not the case in the Delhi Zoo?
No, that is not the case. Even in the visuals that we have, in the still visual that we have, we can see the man which is trying to save himself from the tiger. The area in which that man is sitting, that is the area which should ideally contain water, just in case if the tiger somehow in hypothetical situation manages to escape out of the cage. So that is the place first where we have been continuously noticing the security lab starts from. Second point that we would like to bring out here is that there are hardly any security guards that are employed or deployed outside the cages, and the guards which are deployed outside the cages are local guards. They are not trained guards. They hardly have any knowledge about animals. And when we are talking and dealing with wildlife animals, as far as I think, because it's been almost 4-5 years that I have been covering Delhi Zoo, that there should be experts that handle the wildlife animals and not just any ABC guard who has been given the responsibility to feed the animals and to take care of the animals. So that is the second case which we would like to notice. Now third, we have to understand the Delhi Zoo every day has visitors including all sections of the society. Some are educated and some are not. In that case, I think that just putting up signboards of danger and warning signs, the duty of these Delhi Zoo doesn't finishes here. I think there should be people employed and deployed outside the cages to make sure that such cases do not happen, because we have to understand that Delhi Zoo is a place where every day thousands of school children and picnics take place. In that case, today it's happened with one visitor, but it can happen with anybody.
Very true. Stay with me, Upasana. I also have Shiv Arur joining me from the newsroom. Shiv, we also have exclusive stills of the tiger who mauled. That you just take us through the sequence of events. What really happened in the zoo a few hours ago?
You know, really extremely terrifying sequence of events that you know, finally led up to this this horrific tragedy in the heart of Delhi at the Delhi National Zoological Park. Vedika, basically this boy, apparently 17 years old, a student of class 12, is somehow reported to have slipped into that moat, which, as Upasana pointed out, is supposed to be usually you know, filled with water. It's supposed to be a barrier, you know, between the landscaped area where the white tigers are actually housed and the place beyond which there is also a low barrier beyond which the spectators are actually allowed to stand. Now, as Upasana rightly pointed out, there are supposed to be security officials in that particular area deployed at all times, especially for dangerous animals. Now, we've got slightly conflicting reports from the eyewitnesses we've been speaking to on the ground, but this youth is reported to have slipped and fallen into that moat, which is about 11 to 12 feet deep, or more actually, you know, which separates the actual enclosure from the place where visitors and spectators are allowed to stand. Now, once he got down there, once he slipped and fell inside that place, it's likely that the tiger, you know, jumped down there and apparently grabbed him by the neck. There must have been a small sequence of events. As you can see in this picture that's on our screen right now, he's cowering in fear. The tiger then apparently grabbed him and took him back inside the enclosure, which is actually the most terrifying part. Now, eyewitnesses are saying that he was dead by the time the tiger removed him from the moat and took him into the actual enclosure, after which you know, this entire event came to light. Now, the people who had collected there raised the alarm. It's only after that that the Delhi Zoo officials actually got got there. We've also got some video images of the tiger itself, you know, after the entire attack.
Shiv, if I can just interrupt, isn't that the dry moat area that we're talking about, where that youth actually fell into that enclosure, which is, like Upasana pointed out, to be filled with water to the right of our screens?
That's right, that's right. It's supposed to be, you know, parts of it at least are supposed to be filled with water. Also, there's supposed to be a barrier there, so, you know, you know, nobody can make any mistakes of any kind. The very height of this particular moat, you know, is supposed to completely preclude any possibility of the tiger actually crossing over to the side where the spectators are actually standing. Now we're awaiting, I'm sure Upasana is in touch with her sources at the Delhi Zoo, the National Zoological Park, and we will get an official statement from them as well as the police in a short while from now. At this point of time, the area has been evacuated. You know, people have been removed from the zoo at this time. Only the police and forensic persons are on site at that place to make sure that everything is secure right now. We do have a confirmation that the area is completely secure, and we'll have to await more details about precisely you know, the beginning sequence of events, which we still don't have an exact and precise fix on, Vedika, is something that's really going to be the key to finding out precisely what happened. You know, did this youth you know, sort of in a sort of mistaken act of bravado try and cross over that barrier? Did the tiger come out and grab him? Now there are eyewitnesses who suggest that that's not possible because the tiger was on the other side. So was it you know, was it a design flaw in the enclosure? Because we haven't seen this sort of thing happen before, at least at the Delhi Zoo, even though there have been other incidents of a similar nature involving jaguars which are actually housed in a cage when people tried to feed them through the cage. But in this particular area, it's a physical you know, physical separator between the enclosure and where the spectators actually stand. So Upasana and other correspondents will be reporting on this story to get us the exact sequence of events of what precisely led to this tragedy.
Shiv, do stay with me. Upasana is still with me in the studio. Upasana, just before I play out any of the reactions that have been coming in on this disturbing incident that has taken place in the capital, take us through the different versions that you've come across over this incident.
Vedika, as per the eyewitness, there are three different versions that we have. According to one eyewitness, the victim, he was trying to take a photograph of the tiger, and since the distance was much, that he tried to come across the fence and he just dropped into the area. There's another eyewitness who was saying that he was trying to, because the tiger was at a distance of 700 meters and was not visible enough, so he was trying to look at the tiger from a closer view, and that was the point when he fell into the enclosure. So we exactly do not know what happened, because this man had come alone to the zoo. What is the identity of the man? Why was he there alone, and why did he fall into the area? We don't have an answer to this right now. We are just waiting for a confirmation from the PRO and from the Delhi police, after which we'll be able to come to a conclusion.
Well, in fact, let me also tell our viewers, we tried to get in touch with the Delhi Zoo and they refused to comment about an hour ago. That's the latest we've heard from them. No comment on this tragic incident. Shiv, two very important points here by that eyewitness. Well, we don't know, you know, we can't really clarify on the authenticity of his version, but let's just pick up two key statements made by him. The first, that boy was in there for 10 to 15 minutes, which is worrying because it seems that the staff didn't come to his help for a good 15 minutes. Secondly, he talks about the tiger being stoned, which provoked the tiger in this case.
You know, both highly believable, you know, statements from that eyewitness, Vedika. First of all, you know, the very fact that this boy slipped, you know, into this particular moat suggests that zoo security, which is supposed to be mandatory in, you know, in areas like we've been saying surrounding the dangerous animal enclosures, you know, wasn't present. And if he was there for 10 to 15 minutes in that moat, that's criminal. Now, you know, we've been to the Delhi Zoo. We've seen how big it is. It's a large enclosure, but at any given point of time, zoo officials, security officials, including people armed with tranquilizer guns, aren't supposed to be very far from these enclosures. So if there was a crowd there, as there clearly was, because these pictures were being taken, the huge question that, you know, lingers in the air at this point of time is, why was the reaction so late? Why were people not there already trying to put the tiger down and rescue this man from being mauled?
Important question there, Shiv. Absolutely. Do stay with me. Upasana, you have been covering the Delhi Zoo for a while. You've brought a lot of stories to the forefront there. Tell us, how prepared is the Delhi Zoo for an incident such as this?
I would like to point three points here, Vedika. A, we talk about the security, because see, Delhi Zoo is a place where we have visitors in thousands and lakhs every day, and especially during the weekends, the number extends to lakhs. So in that case, as far as the security is concerned, see, we have private security guards which are deployed at the main gate and a few deployed at the exit gate. Now, outside every cage, there is no guard. There are helpers who are appointed to look after the animals, to feed them, to take care of the animals, and to see that whether the animals are sick and to give them medicines. But there are no guards which are deployed outside the cages, which is again a big security lapse, which I think should not be there.
Thought. We are also opening our phone lines for our viewers, and the question we are putting to them is, who is to be blamed for this tragedy? I believe Saurav is calling in from Delhi. Saurav, go ahead. What do you have to say?
Miss, I presume that this is the viewers who have come to watch the animal. They are to be blamed. In fact, a student of a class 12, he is matured enough to know how much far distance he should be when a tiger is there. Now, I have been to the zoo. I frankly reciprocate and appreciate the efforts that the zoo and the authorities have taken to safeguard the animals as well as keeping the people away from them. But I am sure if you would have been, or other people who are right now covering the incidents, they must have gone there. They must have seen that not only the students, but an adult of an age group of 35 to 40, even they try to go inside the barricade and they try to give some.
So you are trying to say that the crowd that gathers is also a hazard in this case?
Certainly, ma'am. Certainly.
All right, Saurav, thank you for calling in. We also are expecting more callers to call in. The question we are putting to you is, who's to be blamed for this tragedy? We still have Shiv Arur with us. Shiv, once again, the man versus animal debate emerging in this case, because you have wildlife experts saying, let animals be in the wild.
That's a very, very good question that's going to come up, and I hope it, it is debated threadbare at this time. But Vedika, picking up from a point you raised earlier, very important one that the eyewitnesses mentioned, that there was a lot of screaming. Somebody may have even thrown stones at the tiger and provoked it to attack. All of this raises, extremely important questions about how animals are treated. Now, tigers are not man-eaters. We may look at that, in terms of mythology. It's always fed perceptions that tigers are sometimes man-eaters. They go out to kill humans. These animals don't attack unless they are really provoked, unless their territory is encroached upon, unless they feel directly threatened. Now, we don't know whether this was a male or a female tiger, whether there was family, whether, this particular tiger felt threatened by this particular human being jumping into its territory. So a combination of factors will have to be looked into, to precisely piece together the behavior of this animal, its own history, its own, does it have a history of aggressive behavior? All of those aspects will need to be gone into, before, something like this can actually be accurately put down.
Stay with me. I'm going to come back to you in a moment. I believe there's another caller on the line. Saeed calling in from Srinagar. Saeed, what do you have to say?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Go ahead, sir.
Ma'am, it's a very tragic incident. I have been there in Delhi Zoo last month, but I have seen the security is not enough there to prevent such kind of incidents. And your reporter was saying that the special security which is meant for this incident, to avoid that incident, it was not present there. That is the tragic. That is a very big mistake from that zoo authority, why they were absent there at that time.
Absolutely, that is the key question, Saeed. We're trying to figure out the answer to that as well, but the Delhi Zoo authorities as of now not really coming out and expressing their views on it. Raman calling in from Mumbai. Raman, go ahead.
What I would like to say is that I think the spectators as well as the authorities have a responsibility, because if you see Delhi Zoo, I have been there many times. The walls are quite high. It's not easy for a person to jump in. You literally have to make an effort to get in. So if a person deliberately gets in spite of the warning and in spite of everything, I think the spectators themselves are responsible for it.
Well, a lot of callers calling in. Thank you for calling in, Raman. They all seem to be blaming the spectators as much as the zoo authorities. Vignesh from Chennai, who do you blame for this tragedy, Vignesh?
Yeah, I want to blame the boy who was actually mauled, and I want to pay my tributes to him. But the issue is that even in Chennai there is a zoo, a very famous zoo, and the situation is pretty same over here. Like the overall design of the enclosure is pretty same here. And it is for the people to act in a matured manner. It is reported that the boy is a 12th standard student, so I suppose that he should be matured enough to read whatever is being signaled over there and act according to the warnings. And I see even adult people in all zoos across India behave in a similar manner. So I don't think it's more for the zoo authorities to blame, because even if the zoo authorities were there at the moment, I think it is pretty much impossible to stop the tiger from acting in the manner that it usually does.
All right, Vignesh, very good point you make there really, and I'm going to come back to other callers. Before that, Shiv, you're still with us, I believe. My question is, Shiv, they're all talking, all our viewers are talking about how the onus also lies with the people around this place. I mean, the tragedy where it took place, the crowd, the people, the response of the people seems to be to trigger panic, you know, as soon as such an incident takes place, and that really could have added to this tragedy.
I have no doubts in my mind that that is, you know, very likely to be the case. You know, you've been to zoos around the country, Vedika. You've seen how, you know, spectators regard the animals, how people try and, you know, make all sorts of sounds. They try and feed them, you know, all sorts of things. They throw things at them to try and provoke them. You know, that sort of thing happens all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, and the lines are constantly blurring between humans and spectators. And as Upasana pointed out, it's a very good point. There needs to be people, you know, outside cages to sensitize people about animals. Remember that these animals in zoos are already completely removed from their natural habitat. No matter what you do to recreate the landscape of a you know, a forest or a grassland, the simple fact is each and every one of these animals is a prisoner in a small enclosure that is a fraction of what they actually used to in the wild. All conditions are completely artificial. They're made to try and keep them comfortable, but at any given point of time, these animals are completely aware at some level that they are prisoners. So their blood is already up at some level. You know, any provocations can obviously have an amplified effect on their behavior and their reaction. And you've seen the way Indian spectators at zoos actually behave. Compare it with how people have been sensitized in zoos and national parks in other countries.
Well, they would be fine firstly if there was any violation. Really, Shiv, hold that thought. I'm going to come back to you. I have two more callers. They've been waiting on the phone line. Rajesh calling in from Bangalore. Rajesh, go ahead. All right, I have another caller, Ahmed, calling in from Bhagalpur. Ahmed, what do you have to say?
Yeah, it is the complete fault of the intruder, ma'am. You cannot blame the jail authorities.
The zoo authorities, you mean?
Yeah, no way you can blame the zoo authorities. It is a complete fault of the intruder. How can you peep inside the zoo and jump inside? The tiger is not going to kiss you.
Well, as of now, Ahmed, we don't know the true version really, whether the boy slipped into the enclosure or not, but we do understand what you're trying to say there. I believe Ashok also calling in from Hyderabad. Ashok, go ahead.
Good afternoon. It's a sad incident.
Yes.
Two things which I don't understand. He being a student, he may have not come up all alone, which I understand. Other thing is, the stills what they show, the animal nature, it doesn't attack by itself anyway. And even wildest of the wild animal, it will not pounce on anyone. It has got its own fear. Now, the two stills what are shown here, this child might have jumped in and he's sitting, and the tiger is just opposite him. And people outside may have provoked and she targeted and killed the child. And its zoo has, they can't keep watching everyone. It's a thing which everyone should take care of themselves.
Yes.
And 1:30 being a food time, probably it's the worst time attack has been done.
All right, Ashok, thank you for calling in. Upasana, let me come across to you before I go ahead and take other callers. Your sources telling you that this youth was a class 12 boy who was mauled to death. Now, the point raised by Ashok and others is also very pertinent here, that I'm sure that this school boy had come with other classmates, with the teacher. In this case, it was a fun trip that went, wrong really. So clearly the onus doesn't only lie on the zoo authorities, but the authorities that brought this child to the zoo as well.
But it's been more than 2.5 hours that nobody has contacted the Delhi Zoo saying that he was accompanying the victim. So till now we don't know whether the guy had come alone to the zoo or whether he was with his friends or with a school group, because nobody has reported saying that this man who has been killed by the tiger is from his company. So this is again a big question and we don't have an answer to it. Why? Because the Delhi Zoo is not giving any answer. Well,
this is a gruesome incident. A white tiger has killed, we believe, a class 12 student inside the Delhi Zoo. This happened about 1:30 p.m. We're getting a lot of callers calling in. They're very disturbed with this incident and they want to express their views. We have Swami calling in from Hyderabad. Swami, go ahead.
Hello, hi. I'm Swami from Hyderabad.
Go ahead, sir.
It's a very sad scene which we are seeing now. I think it's not a fault of authorities, zoo authorities, because they can't monitor each and every person, right? And people, we have to be sensible. It's our fault. We can't blame authorities for each and everything.
All right, Swami, thanks for calling in. We do respect your point of view there. Rajiv also calling in from Delhi. Rajiv, what do you have to say?
Yeah, hi, this is Rajiv. And this is a very sad and tragic event, but I belong to Delhi, and I've been to Delhi Zoo multiple times, and I've seen people behaving in stupid things and doing really stupid things. So people have to be careful in front of these wild animals.
All right, Rajiv, thanks for calling. Shiv, if you're still with us, a lot of people calling in, they talk about how the people who visit such places like zoos across India need to be sensitive and sensitized to such situations. I'm really wondering, Shiv, in this case, who's the victim here? Was it the boy in question or was it the tiger itself?
That's an amazing question you ask. I think that that really goes to the heart of what we should be trying to answer when we get here. It's one thing to actually look for blame, look for accountability. The question we're asking is who would you blame for this particular tragedy? The other side of it is precisely what you just said about how Indians regard animals, how people who go to zoos in this country, what do they think of the animals as as things to be teased, as something to be provoked. It's all really simple acts of bravado. There's selfie culture that's on right now, people trying to take pictures of themselves with animals. There is a very marked lack of not just sensitization but also respect for animals. Either we look at animals as domesticated creatures or we look at them as man-eaters. There isn't a certain amount of respect for animals, animal enclosures, the rules that are the very many rules that are put up there. And as Upasana will confirm, the Delhi Zoo also has boards everywhere at the zoological park which lists out the many rules that you're supposed to follow, including the safety rules about until where you're allowed to stand, what you're not allowed to do, the behavior that's completely unacceptable, including trying to feed the animals, which disrupts their behavioral pattern. Not to compare or anything like that, but if you look at zoological parks in places like, say, Singapore, forget about going way to the west. Look at places like Singapore or Thailand or other places like that, the zoological parks in Japan. There is a great deal of discipline in the manner in which animals are actually regarded. So zoo officials do have a duty. They have a duty to protect the people who are admitted into the zoological parks to look at the animals. But the people who come there also have a duty to respect the animals. They have a duty to make sure that they follow each and every rule and they don't break any rules, because as this tragic incident has shown, if you break a single rule even for a couple of minutes, the consequences can be fatal.
Absolutely. Shiv, hold that thought. Upasana, do stay with me in the studio. Well, what we have learned in the last half an hour is that the onus lies as much on the spectators as it should with the Delhi Zoo authorities in this case.